Hi everyone, it's Sophie from Shut Eye here, and today's video is a case study for you. I recently posted on social media a copy of a text that a very grateful mum, sent through to me saying that her daughter had slept through the night for the first time in over a year. So I was totally blown away with this little girl and the mum and dad and how hard they worked and the amazing results that they got, that I really wanted to share them with you today to hopefully inspire you to know that not all is lost with sleep training, no matter what age your child is, and to really hopefully inspire you to take some action to improve sleep in your house if that's what you want. So I'm going to talk through the details and we'll go from there. So this little girl is 2 years and 2 months, so very little. The bit of the background to her case was she was sleeping in a bed, so she was on like a very low mattress bed on the floor, which is very young to be in a bed, in my opinion. It's quite difficult for them to understand the rules of staying in a bed when they're that young, but she was a very smart little girl. But yes, that was presenting its problems. She'd also had a history of food intolerances as a baby. She had reflux and really severe tongue tie. So she'd had quite a tough start to her life. Obviously, those food intolerances were still ongoing. So with that, there was, some residual pain that she was feeling. So she'd had quite a difficult start. But what was happening, what her sleep challenges were, was that at bedtime, she had a lovely bedtime routine, and mum and dad were giving her a bottle in the bedroom after a bath, and then giving her a cuddle, and then sitting with her until she fell to sleep. Now, initially that was okay, but just before we started to working together, bedtime resistance started to creep in as well. What was happening in the night time is that she was waking up at any time. There was no real rhyme or reason at the time that she would wake up, and she would wake up and make multiple requests for various things, for milk especially, for hand holding, a lot of hand holding. She wanted to be, holding one of her parents' hands while she fell back to sleep, or cuddles. So different requests going on each night. Now, she might be awake for a very long time, waiting for her parents to fulfill these requests, or it might settle her quite quickly and mum and dad could go back to bed. But frequently she might be awake for 3 hours at a time. So she was really struggling, with some sleep deprivation, as her parents were as well. And inevitably, when a family gets into that situation, mum and dad were working full time, and they wanted the best sleep for their little girl. What would happen most nights, well, in fact, every night, would be that it would get to the point where their ways of reassuring her or fulfilling her requests for the extra milk, etc., just weren't working anymore. So one of them would jump into bed with her, and then she would settle quite quickly after that. And that's the situation where they were. So one of the parents was in her bed every single night. So when we started working together, I was really mindful of the background, the history of this girl. Mum and dad were completely on the ball with what we call sleep hygiene. So in terms of the times that she was going to bed, her sleep environment, really being on the ball and knowing, creating a lovely sleep environment for her. So they definitely worked hard at that in the past, and that was really helping. But we needed to take her to this next step of making her feel comfortable going to sleep, and feel comfortable in the nighttime, to not constantly need her parents to be in the bed with her. So phase one was really to respect that and to gently move away from the situation that they were currently in, and that was supporting her to sleep but not getting into bed with her. So we came up with a strategy for that, but lots of initial work and communication with this little girl about what was going to happen. Now, at this age, 2 years, 2 months, that's a very tricky thing to do. Some children can understand a lot more than others, and some can communicate a lot more than others. So we did a lot of work visually to try and help her understand, but again, being very mindful of how long it might take her to understand. But once we kind of got through that first week and that first phase of her learning to fall asleep without parents in the bed, we then moved on to the second phase, which was helping her to fall asleep with coping strategies without having to have her parents there all of the time. Now, she did resist, as any 2-year-old is going to do. They are going to resist. They're going to come up with weird and wonderful ideas and requests and stalling tactics to get their parents to stay. So it wasn't easy for the parents, but the reason why they got success is that they were consistent with what I was telling them. Every day they followed the plan, followed the strategies. You know, when I was saying to them, look, some of the messages that you're giving her, you know, are inconsistent, then they were like, oh, okay. You know, and it's really, really intricate, some of these details and how we're responding to children, but they were open to it. They were open to the advice and they were putting in the hard work. And then eventually, just under 3 weeks was when we were getting to the point that the mum and the dad were actually able to sit outside her room while she fell asleep at bedtime. And then in the last couple of days, they're able to say goodnight, shut the door, and then go downstairs and leave her to fall asleep. And then the little girl was sleeping through the night, waking up so proud of herself, so proud, saying, Mummy, Mummy, I did it by myself. So proud that she was able to sleep by herself. So it can be really difficult as parents to think, you know, we want our children to, you know, to be there for us all the time, and they do. But actually, you know, that sense of achievement and self-esteem that she's got by sleeping by herself, there wasn't hours of screaming and tears and upset or anything like that, because we worked very slowly. There was no rush for us to move from where we were to where we wanted to be. We moved at the pace that was right for that family and for that child. And, you know, sleep training isn't a linear process. It goes up and it goes down. It goes up and it goes down. And, you know, there will be nights that were much, much harder than other nights. But when you start to see that progress, it really gives you the inspiration to keep going and to know what's actually possible, especially when we're working in a very responsive way with that child. So where did they get to at the end of their 2 to 3 weeks? Their child, you know, this little girl was putting herself to bed, you know, after a lovely bedtime routine, staying in bed and sleeping through until the morning. She was continuing to nap in the day and, you know, napping well at nursery, which had been a tricky thing as well. Sometimes she would only sleep for 25 minutes and sometimes an hour. And she continued to nap really well there. So I was pleased with that, being able to keep that continuity as well. So just under the 3 weeks, and Mum messaged me to say, you know, this is the first time in a year that Mum and Dad had been able to sleep in their bed together all night. That's a year. You know, for a year, one of them halfway through the night or whatever point in the night was going into bed with their little girl. So that's a massive, massive achievement. You know, the journey that they took to help their daughter to sleep has also helped them as a family. As I said, they're full-time working parents. You know, they must be exhausted waking up frequently through the night time and then sharing a bed. You know, I was so proud of them, but they really put in the effort, and I just wanted to share that with you to know what's possible and what you guys can achieve. So if that sounds like your situation, or that has inspired you to take action and you need some help, I'm here for you. Book in on my website, on my Facebook page, for a free sleep success strategy call where we'll talk through your sleep challenges, find out what's getting in the way of your child sleeping better and what you can do to resolve it. So jump on my website, shuteye.co.uk, and then ping me a message and get in touch. Okay guys, nice to talk to you. Bye for now.